I'll be your hoe.
Yo.
Hey, Shalom, nigga.
What's up, Brody? What's up, man? What's going on?
Man, you know the G Slayer, man. I'm just goddamn smoking on them Genesis dog.
Yeah, that's what I called you about too, bro.
Hey, what you think about that shit, cut?
Go ahead, Atat.
Okay, so what does it mean to be Ben Adam? What does that mean?
A descendant of Adam.
Okay, so this is talking about the descendants of Adam, yes or no?
It's honing down on the people group that descend from Adam. Adam was a chosen man. The context is going down Adam's chosen lineage. And it expounds during the verse. You're reading one portion of the verse and trying to isolate it. But let's take the whole verse into consideration, let alone the whole chapter.
Okay, well, number one, and I'm sure the audience can clearly see, it doesn't say at all remotely even close to what you said. You have to completely add on top of what it says. It says,
Adam, descendants of Adam.
Now, for the record earlier, you already agreed. You literally said, and I quote, "This is talking about everybody." You literally said that.
I expounded on the context right after I said it's talking about everybody.
You gotta let him.
I said the descendants of Adam. I said everybody as in the ones that are obligated to keep the Sabbath. Adam wasn't given a fucking Sabbath. In Ezekiel 2:1 it says, "And he said unto me, Bon Adam, son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee." It's talking to Ezekiel, not all descendants of Adam. You're interrupting me. I said the ones that are obligated to keep the Sabbath, the man and the son of man.
Okay.
Well,
so when it go ahead.
So let's just read with his understanding what this means. Isaiah 56:2. Blessed is everybody, because that's what he said. Blessed is
what did
everybody.
I just say?
These niggas just get on my nerves sometimes, man. I love them, man, but
That's why I was getting on their air, nigga. You see me getting on their motherfucking air. Turning my goddamn voice up, nigga. I ain't finna speak quiet on them motherfucking nigga. Hell nah, nigga. See, there's that Levite coming at, nigga.
yeah.
That motherfucking angry Levite, nigga, right there.
Man, I think y'all did a fantastic job, man. Listening in the beginning, I could just tell how much these niggas did not listen. I think Hassad doesn't. I don't know if this nigga really listens. You see what I'm saying? To get the understanding. Y'all came from an angle that I don't think they was ready for it, to be honest. I noticed like y'all were using the law a lot, the Torah, and they were more so using the Paul's letters.
That's the only place they could go. Cause listen, when you're relaying information, you do it depending on the knowledge level of your audience. The same thing with Paul. He's coming from a place of assuming the people know what he's talking about, right? That's why it's easy for Genesis to take that shit out of context. But the thing with that, you realize that we cut their tree down at the root, right?
Yeah.
You know what the root was? The root of Genesis doctrine is contingent on a necessity of the heathen having to have entered the old covenant, because we know who the blood of Christ is for. If we go to Romans 5:9, it says, much more than being now justified by his blood. But who is his blood for? Because this is what justifies. We shall be saved from wrath through him. Now you go to Hebrews 9:15. And for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. So you have to have been under the Old Testament for Christ to be applicable for you to be eligible for salvation. Trying to make Exodus 24 inclusive of the heathen is forced. The heathen, the mixed multitude that was amongst Israel, wasn't mentioned since Exodus 12. We're all the way in Exodus 24. Just because it says the people, right? Exodus 24 and verse 3. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord. They say the heathen had to be inclusive in this notion. But this is the sequence that we see in Exodus 24. The people agreed that they would keep the commandments. Moses rose up early in the morning, built 12 pillars to commemorate the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, and he built an altar. He sprinkled blood on the people, and they agreed that they would keep the commandments again. Where is the inclusivity of the heathen? In Malachi 4:4, we see commentary given by the Most High through his prophet Malachi. Isaiah 8:20 says, if they speak not according to this word, the law and the testimony, because the Most High speaks through the law and he speaks through the prophets, right? When you go to Malachi 4:4, before we get Exodus 24, remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel with the statutes and judgments. So what is this word for? This word for goes back to all. So it's saying all Israel, upon all Israel, between all Israel, touching all Israel, to all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Where is the inclusivity of the heathen? We have more commentary given by Moses. And so this is Deuteronomy 5:1. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep and do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. Where is the inclusivity of the heathen? Because Genesis argues inclusivity of Israel doesn't mean exclusivity of the heathen. That's just a debate tactic, though. Where is the inclusivity of the heathen? That's nowhere found. You have more commentary in 1 Kings 8 and 9. There was nothing in the ark save the 2 tablets of stone which Moses put there at Horeb, when the Lord made a covenant with the children of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt. How do you prove that the mixed multitude was there at the ceremony of the Old Testament? Because it is not there. All they have is that it says, and Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord. The people, oh, the mixed multitude had to be among them. They had to be there. No, they did the fuck not. The Most High ain't say it. Moses ain't say it. The historical source in First Kings ain't say it. Where is it? It's nowhere. Something else they argue is that Deuteronomy 29 says that covenant is in addition to it. Peep game. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 29 and verse 1. This is where his side said that the heathens entered into the old covenant. And I cut him on it, and then he went to Exodus 24. So let's go right here. Verse 1. These are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Right? Hassad brought out a translation to where it said, in addition to the covenant made with them at Horeb. But you go into the Hebrew word and it's bod. The word beside transliterates to bod. What does bod mean? Alone, apart, only. We're seeing a separation. This is not the covenant made with them at Horeb, because that covenant is a blood covenant. He's trying to force the notion that the blood is upon the heathen, right? It just doesn't fit. These niggas are damn near Satanists adding to the word of the Most High. Let's go to Exodus 24, and we're going to start at verse 3. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord had said we will do. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord had spoken we will do. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord and rose up early in the morning and builded an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. These are the ones that entered into the covenant, right? My brother Kazak had argued, where is the pillar for the heathen? There is no pillar. You only see a commemoration of Israel. Then in the commentary given by the Most High, we'll only see an inclusion of Israel. And all the other sources I went to, right? There's no notion throughout the Bible that goddamn the heathens entered into that motherfucker. It's not there, nigga. According to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. This is the blood. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. And they said, all the Lord had said we would do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people. Who? The children of Israel, whom the 12 pillars were commemorated to. Took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. There it is, bitch. It's not that hard of a breakdown, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Bitch, if you ignorant to the scriptures, what they're saying is gonna seemingly make sense because they're real clever. That's all it is, bitch, dog. This is Exodus 24. The place prior that we see the mixed multitude being mentioned was Exodus 12. The next place we see them being mentioned is Numbers 11. So how the fuck are we going to include them in this covenant that we made with the Most High God? It's not there.
Yeah, Exodus 24,
Yeah.
When I was looking at Deuteronomy 29, I noticed, I want to say that too, I noticed when Hassad had read it from the NLT, which says in addition to the covenant, but I noticed he didn't go and he didn't really describe, because the Hebrew for that word besides is separate. It's like a separation.
Yeah, bro. I got that shit pulled up right
in the
here.
NLT, it says in addition to, but the Hebrew word means a separation. So it's separate from the covenant made at Mount Sinai. And then, like you said, it's a blood covenant that they sprinkled the blood on them. So where in the hell did they sprinkle? What's the process? Like you said, what's the process? What's their process to be grafted in?
Yeah, so they had no answer for that because I'm saying if a heathen is in a perpetual servitude, they say that's permitted. But if the heathen joins to the Most High, it's not permitted that you could take that slave into servitude. So I asked them, where can you go in the Torah to show the judicial process of a heathen converting to one that is joined? There is no judicial process. You feel what I'm saying? You know, with Ruth, when she said, your people should be my people, your God should be my God, right. She was moving to Israel. And we're real big on our belief system. So she had to convert to our laws either way it went. She didn't have to go to the extent that she went by saying that. But Ruth, first of all, Ruth is not authoritative. Second of all, Ruth didn't enter into a higher level of status by saying that. Right? Let me break this down though.
Yeah, she just like, so you saying like she just came into the land. Well, first of all, she come to the land, she's obligated to keep the parts of the Torah that they're obligated to keep. But when she said what she said, my God is your God and things like that, she literally just said that. That doesn't. They saying like her saying that is her basically being grafted in?
Yeah, that's basically how they're using it. But what they're saying is because the heathen entered in per se to our covenant in Deuteronomy 29, that now if a heathen is isolated from China, that they can convert to our covenant and be joined in. Yeah, he said the Deuteronomy 29 covenant is a covenant in addition, but I got it pulled up right here. Deuteronomy 29, these are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab. Beside, that word for beside is bad, and it means alone, apart, only. Right? So beside the covenant which he made with them at Horeb. So this is not the covenant made with them at Horeb. So I asked Hassad, where did the heathen enter into the old covenant? He brought me right here. And then I cut his ass, and he doubled back and said that they entered into the covenant in Exodus 24 because it says all the people.
He basically was saying like 24 is a foundation, and then Deuteronomy 29 is adding on to that foundation. That's what he's saying. But then he said in 29 is where they entered. So you have to prove where they entered in 29, or you're gonna have to retract that statement, which I don't think them niggas will ever do in their life.
Yeah. So boom, you know what Genesis argues? They say inclusion of Israel doesn't mean exclusion of the heathen. But nigga, what passage are the heathen included? It's the same thing they were. It's the same thing they were doing playing with Zechariah 2. Because I showed about 5 prophetic witnesses of the same event of Zechariah 2. And every time I read one of those witnesses, they said, oh, that's only Israel. Then I go to the witness of Zechariah 2 and they say, oh, that's the heathen included. Because that's the only place you could go to make that bullshit equation, because it's not as plain upon tables. But all it is another witness. But boom, I'm going to show you a witness to this event.
Hey, and also when Kazak, he said, he was like, it's the 12 altar for the 12 tribes of Israel. He sprinkled the blood on the altar, and then he sprinkled the blood on the people. Why, if the heathen were included, where is the altar for the heathen? Kazak made that point.
Yeah.
Is there an altar for the heathen? Where is their altar? Because if the blood is sprinkled on 12 altars for the 12 tribes, why in the hell would they have been a part of that covenant? Where is their altar? Where is their altar? And when he sprinkled the blood on the people, if he sprinkled it on the heathen, why is it the point that, okay, he sprinkled the blood on the people, including the heathen? Okay, then where is the heathen's altar? So when it comes to the heathen getting in the covenant, The heathen, they only need blood spread on them. They don't need an altar. Whereas that makes no sense. And I love how you said that they were what do you call it? Because I said this before. I always said Deacon and Hassad, they come to senseless conclusions. They conclude shit way too quick.
I use the word casuist, which means clever but unsound in reasoning. That's all they're doing. They're so privy on the scriptures that they can play devil's advocate. You know how we used to do in Sakari?
Yeah.
Like argue a false point, but we know the scripture so in depth that we can make that false point seem realistic. That's all that Genesis is doing. The thing is, that's just a debate tactic. Okay, so inclusivity of Israel doesn't mean exclusivity of the heathen. Can you show inclusivity of the heathen anywhere?
Right.
No, you cannot. All you could use is that it says all the people. But boom.
You know what they're going to do? Step 2 is go to Paul. But, you know.
They're going to go to Paul, bro.
Yeah, they go to Paul just like Christians do. I could see, like you said, if he could come to that conclusion based on proving them being included anywhere, but the way that they try to prove that they were included in the Torah
is insufficient.
Or in the covenant is not conclusive whatsoever. They just drawing that conclusion based off, really, I think outside influences. You know, going to Paul and doing all that shit to draw that conclusion.
Man, the Most High bugging these niggas up, bro. Cause this is what I should have asked them. Now, I'm gonna ask you right now.
Yeah.
Why were we commanded to wear fringes?
To remember the law.
Right. We were commanded to wear fringes to remember the law of the Most High. And it explicitly commands Israel, not all people, to wear fringes. It's not a law of the land. It's explicitly to Israel. So by that reason of remembering the commandments, if the heathens also entered into the Old Testament, why don't they have to wear fringes?
You said, why don't they?
Yeah, if they gotta remember to keep the commandments and keep the commandments like us, why don't they gotta wear fringes, nigga?
Shit, I don't know, bro.
Yeah, because the commandments weren't.
They don't have, because the fringes are to remember the commandments, but the Most High commanded us to wear the fringes. So, if they're keeping the commandments, why don't they have to wear fringes to remember it?
Exactly.
I mean, I would just say because it ain't commanded. But
exactly, bro.
If it's not commanded, so if it's not commanded, what's your point in that? Like, it's just a question.
No, it unveils the truth, because if the heathens entered into the Old Testament, they would need to remember to keep the commandments too. But they don't necessarily, because if they leave the land, they're not obligated to keep our laws. We're obligated to keep it anywhere we fucking go.
Do it say, let me see, do it say remember, or do it say remind, like a reminder? I'm reading NLT. It says, get a follow instruction, people of Israel throughout the generations. Come you make tassels on the hem of your clothing, attached with the cord. Say when you see the tassels, you remember and obey all the commandments of the Lord instead of following your own desires and defiling yourselves as you are prone to do. The tassels will help you remember that you must obey all my commands and be holy to your God. I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Yeah, so
right. That's speaking on the tassels, right? And also Numbers 15:38, speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the border a ribbon of blue. And then it goes on to give the reasoning, and it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them, and that ye see not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a whoring. But the heathen are permitted to go a whoring because of Deuteronomy 4:19. They can worship the sun, moon, and stars. It wouldn't even be whoring. They're permitted to do it, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have to keep the commandments to the degree that we got to keep it. That's all it's going into.
Yeah, and I'm still watching that debate though. I'm still listening to that debate. But they sound like some Christians on that Paul shit though, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. They sound like some real Christians on that Paul shit, but again, I think they literally, I feel like they really literally coming from the same standpoint as a Christian. I'm just so tired of niggas abusing Paul's letters, man, to be honest with you, bro.
Taking them out of context,
you shouldn't need Paul's letters to prove your point, because our foundation and what we supposed to be focusing on and following is the Most High, the law, the prophets, and the words of Yahweh. That's our foundation.
Yeah, to keep the commandments, you don't need Paul's letters. You don't. It's just it's history. But you gotta you gotta filter it through the Old Testament. If you don't know the Old Testament, you're gonna come to false conclusions. I think
like, how the fuck is these niggas not doing that? Like, I don't. It makes no sense. So, okay, they're attempting to filter the New Testament through the Old Testament, but when they try to filter the Old Testament, one, they go to times where the Most High saved the heathen. Okay, that's not a hammer and a nail in your point.
You can say preserve the heathen rather. I mean, that's safe.
You say preserve.
Yeah, that's the
okay,
same.
we see that. You can go to well, first of all, they already cut on the covenant. Well, they already cut on that.
Yeah, the tree already fell down, nigga. We cut that shit at the root.
Yeah. The fact that they haven't been grafted into the covenant, it's over. The doctrine's over. If you can't prove and show where heathen are getting grafted in, like, it's over after that. They didn't enter into the covenant with us. So the fact that they didn't enter into the covenant with us, where in the hell did they get included? And the only place that I can see is Paul. Is in Paul. I don't think they showed anywhere where a heathen was included in the covenant, except them going into Romans 11, just like a Christian. They try to go. I ain't seen them get Ruth yet, but if they go to Ruth, that's not like you said. That's not how you convert. There's no judicial process of conversion. Just because Ruth said that doesn't mean that she's now converted into the thing. Or into the covenant.
She's a spiritual Israelite now.
Nah, man, hell no. That's not how it works. And then I think they use another example. They use a lot of historical examples and stuff. But like I said, the foundation is the law, the words of the Most High, the words of Yahweh, and the prophecy. But goddamn, they've been abusing the hell out of Paul shit. God damn. Honestly, if you can't use Paul, them points is gonna get plucked up.
Yeah.
That should be the foundation. A big ass pillar in their argument is that they joined the covenant. If somebody can disprove emphatically that the heathen did not enter into the covenant, their entire argument is perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. Like, you niggas are too intelligent to not see that.
I'm finna do that right now too. I'm finna make a video going into an in-depth breakdown on why Gentile salvation cannot work, because it's all predicated upon who entered into the Old Testament. Because when you go to Hebrews 9, right, it says Hebrews 9 and 16, for where a testament is, there must also of necessity be death of the tester. For a testament is of force after men are dead, otherwise it is of no strength at all while the tester liveth. So there needs to be a sacrifice. Whereupon neither was the first testament dedicated without blood, right? Because we had a blood sacrifice. Blood was sprinkled upon the people. For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop and sprinkled both the book and all the people, saying, this is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. So the first testament was made with blood. This isn't speaking about Deuteronomy 29. Notice how this is speaking about Exodus 24. So even though there were heathens that entered into the covenant per se, or you could say agreed to the covenant, because there are laws for the sojourner within our law, right? That's why they had to enter. It wasn't the covenant at Horeb. It wasn't the blood testament. So yeah, the whole doctrine falls on that thing.
Facts.